Hello everybody. So I thought I'd do a video today on how to deal with neighbors and the problems that you're having with your neighbors. That can lead to a lot of stress, especially because this is your home. You're supposed to be enjoying your time at home, and you come back every day, there's some sort of a problem, whether the neighbor's coming onto your grass or he's throwing garbage across, or there's neighbors who've got loud music ongoing. So these kind of issues can lead to a lot of problems. In fact, I've had a number of clients who've had domestic issues in the context of their neighbors and them getting into altercations, whether it's the wife who doesn't like the neighbor or the husband who doesn't like the neighbor, and these problems can escalate very quickly. In one particular instance, a client of mine was in fact charged when he was out watering his grass, and his neighbor, who had been constantly bothering and harassing him, on this particular occasion he was alleged to have taken his hose and started watering his neighbor, and so that led to him being charged with assault. And that's not the way to obviously deal with harassment from a neighbor. There's appropriate steps that you have to take, and what you should be doing if those kind of behaviors commence, get yourself a lawyer for sure. That's one thing, but you can certainly start by having recording devices both outside and inside your home if these kind of issues start. That's the first thing you should be doing, because you're going to end up needing evidence that somebody's constantly encroaching upon your property, or they're doing destruction upon your property. And if you don't have that kind of evidence, the neighbor can catch you one of these days when you just have had enough. And in this particular instance, when my client had had enough, he decided to hose his neighbor with water, and he thought it's not a big deal. Water coming out of a hose in law is still an assault. And in another particular instance, neighbors' dispute continued for a number of years. People started breaking property from each other, and so eventually what ended up happening is a client of mine became extremely frustrated by the fact that they weren't being able to address these issues with the police either. So on one particular occasion, when her neighbor was driving onto her driveway, she decided that she was going to just get right in front of the car. She in fact jumped in front of the car, and as he was pulling in, so it wasn't really fast, and then tried to fall off and pretended that she was getting hurt. She had hoped that she could get the police involved and get the neighbor charged, but in fact, when the neighbors got the videos, they posted those videos to the police, and the police ultimately determined that she was the one at fault. She'd had enough of the neighbor constantly harassing them, and she took actions that she shouldn't have taken, and in the end, she was the one facing criminal charges. So that's the last thing you want to be doing when you've got problems with your neighbors, because even after the criminal charges are resolved, you're still going to have to live in that house unless you sell and move out of there. So what do you do when you're having problems with neighbors and you don't want those escalating? First and foremost, you should certainly get yourself the video surveillance cameras and have those, and put up a couple of signs saying that the property is under surveillance. That right there and then may curtail this ongoing behavior, and your neighbor may decide, look, I don't want to engage in any of the behavior at this point in time. He's got cameras, I can get caught, so that would stop that. But if that kind of behavior still continues, then what you should be doing is never engage in a verbal confrontation. Okay, that can be very problematic, because once you start engaging in verbal confrontation, your recording devices, especially the video cameras that you're allowed to put on your homes, they are not geared to recording audio. All you can record is video. So a police officer, when he arrives on the scene, even when you show them the videos, is not going to be able to determine who said what. And your neighbor could say you were threatening them, or you swore at them, or you cursed them, and that can cause you problems. So the only way to avert that is by having a recording device, like a cell phone, in your hand. Now, how many times are you going to be carrying on a cell phone? Every time you approach your neighbor? So it's best when these kind of problems continue to get yourself a lawyer, and then have the lawyer send letters to your neighbor advising them about the issues that are ongoing, and hopefully try and cut this off before it escalates into something where one party or another starts calling the police. Because neighborhood disputes are the ones that the police least like to attend to. It could be either because people are crossing over, cutting your grass, or doing, especially when the snow is not being removed, or winter. That's the last thing you want to be fighting your neighbor over. Try and work it out, and if you can't, make yourself protected by getting yourself a lawyer so you can deal with these appropriately.